It is really hard for me to make content when my brain is being bombarded by the wrong kind of ions. Anyway, before we get into what the solar has been doing for the last week, here is a picture of what the solar sail looks like before you all start DMing me and asking me if it's a UFO. So that's what it looks like. NASA launched this on the 24th and unfurled it, and it's been flying around the globe getting everybody all excited. So I was not feeling great at all last week, which is why I never made more updates except on my Patreon with slides. So the flare activity tapered off a little bit last week, but then we started having magnetic filament eruptions. So that's been putting out just as much force. But in the meantime, this activity already had us in a solar radiation storm for the entire week. So they don't really consider it serious until it's up above the red line, but people who have been tracking this sure seem to feel it on a humans down here on the earth level. It was on its way down, but then the last couple days we had some magnetic filament eruptions and some far side CMEs, which shot it back up overnight. So here we are currently, but we've actually had another large M flare since I took the screenshot. But at any rate, we're having some weird flare activity, but most of it is coming from these magnetic filament eruptions, which I will show you. And as soon as they popped off, the level started to go back up again, and it's well above the red line now. I would love to tell you what the Schumann resonance is doing right now, so I'm just going to have to base it off my Schumann predicting Shih Tzu Sophie. I've been calling her Sophstradamus because every time she starts acting freaky, there is Schumann activity. And so, interestingly enough, Tomsk has been stuck since Saturday and hasn't propagated new data. I'm sure it's just an equipment thing. In the meantime, you can see on the Cumiana, Italy track, the top row there, that's the most current. And even though they look like tiny little spikes, those are decent size spikes. So we're continuing to have a lot of Schumann activity as well. Interestingly enough, this eruption you see down below, that filament eruption that's shaped like a snake, happened the same time that they found that big oar fish off the coast of California and started losing their minds. And here's the one from yesterday. You can see down below me. The oarfish are apparently a portent of doom, and a bunch of them came up right before. This is from yesterday, and I just wanted to show you how I'm so glad that erupted before it turned earth facing, as it was about to do, because that packed a punch. Here's a peek at what happened last night that caused that bump in the storm. So if you've been feeling kind of funky the last week or so with all of this solar activity that's unusual, feel free to go check out the negative ion TikTok that's right after this one. That will give you some more understanding of what's going on when we're having these proton events and what you can do to make yourself feel better. Along with all the solar activity, I soyed myself. I just found out that I have food allergies, and so much is making sense now. My doctor was like, okay, avoid everything for a month and then start testing things out. Yeah, I may never eat anything with soy in it again the rest of my life. I'll miss edamame. I'll miss Asian cuisine that I don't have to cook myself, but I don't want to feel as bad as I did this weekend ever again. It was not fun. Bad. Just as an aside, scientists are saying that we're going to be able to see auroras in the lower latitudes for up to the next 2 years, which tracks with what everybody else is thinking. It's so funny to me that oftentimes the people who cover this solar weather and have a more holistic science approach to it and a more intuitive approach to it come to the conclusions years before NASA and NOAA does.